Okay, hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final session for AFDigital's Masterclass series for Social Studio. Now, last week we talked about all about social listening and topic profiles and how you can achieve that in various use cases for your business. But today's topic is for two different platforms that complement Social Studio. These are Social Studio Automate and Social Studio Command Center. We'll be focusing more on Social Studio Automate, as it has functionally a lot more parts compared to Command Center. But before anything else, like always, allow me to show you what's in store for AFDigital's Masterclass series. Today is the last session for Social Studio, but we still have two more sessions for tomorrow that would be on how to manage your service requests and how to configure your Salesforce. Again, that's tomorrow, April 22nd, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But we also just recently announced a series of Marketing Cloud webinars. Marketing Cloud, if you're not aware, Marketing Cloud is a powerful tool for different marketing platforms, sort of for web, for ad studio, for advertising, for mobile as well. Social Studio is just one component of Marketing Cloud. Now, if you want to learn all about Marketing Cloud and the different things that it can do, what I suggest is that you go to our website, www.afdigital.com. Visit this link that you're seeing here on top, AFDigital-Salesforce-Masterclass. And of course, please also follow us on social, like us on Facebook, AFDigital Social. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, that's at AFDigital Social. But also, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Some of the previous sessions for the AFDigital Masterclass series for Social Studio, other topics have already been uploaded. So if you missed any of those, feel free to go to our channel. We also do have other videos there from our previous training sessions, as well as some previous webinars that we also conducted. So if you want to check that out, just go to our YouTube channel. That's again AFDigital. So let's get started. Here's a quick rundown of the things that we'll be discussing here today. As always, I always start with a previous session recap of the things, just some of the key concepts that were discussed in the last session. And then we will be proceeding to what Social Studio Automate is, and just some of the general key components that you can find with Social Studio Automate. That will be data sources, the different social automate tools that you can use, accompanying the rules and conditions, and as well as understanding the hierarchy and priority groups that come with Social Studio Automate. And then we'll be briefly going over Social Studio Command Center, just some of the common use cases for it, what does it look like, and I'll also be showing you what Command Center, some of the samples that we can see with Command Center screens. And then if we have time, I'll be doing a quick question and answer portion, but I think that's the problem last time with the last time's webinar. I didn't have enough time for question and answer. But if I do end up not having enough time for today's webinar, I'll also put in my email at the end of this slide, so you can reach me out if you have any questions, anything related about Social Studio, or even if you're interested with trying out Social Studio for your own. AFDigital will be gladly walking you through that process and how it can help you out. So stay tuned for that. So let's do a quick recap of the things that were discussed. As I've said last week, we touched on social listening. Social listening is the act of cracking mentions and conversations relevant to your business on social media platforms to gain insights about your customers. And just some of the benefits of social listening and how you can achieve that with topic profiles. First, it allows you to identify trends and patterns, to see which things are commonly associated with your brand. If it's positive, maybe it's something that you want to reinforce that thought with your customers. If it's negative, it's something that you want to change. Second, it can allow you to match competitors' actions. With social listening, you can pay attention to whatever your competitors are actually publishing on their social media platforms, and you can see how your customers or people react to it online. And you can respond with content of your own if it's good, and if it's something bad or it's something negatively reacted to by your customers, maybe it's something that you might want to avoid in the future. And last but not least, it allows you to spot a crisis way before it begins by allowing you to find potential social posts, some posts that have high negative engagement, and it can spark a social media wildfire as soon as it comes up. And there are several tools that can help you out in order to spot the crisis way before it begins, such as threshold alerts, and you'll see later on how Social Studio Automate can identify that as well. And there are essentially three main branches of social listening. If you want to listen to all about what people are saying about your brand, what people are saying about your products, you do brand listening. And the keywords that you put into the topic profile when you're doing brand listening is obviously the name of your brand, your product's names, as well as could even be your slogan for your brand. And then if you want to listen for your competitors and what people are saying about them, kind of do a topic profile that's kind of similar to brand listening, but instead of everything about you, this time it's all about your competitors. So you're looking for your competitors' names, competitors' products, as well as you can even put this slogan of competitor if it's something that's often being regularly associated with that brand. Lastly, the last branch of social listening that you can do is something that's focused on the industry itself. So the keywords that you're looking for when you're doing an industry listening is that the keywords that you put into the topic profile is all about the general products that are involved with the industry itself. So if you're, let's say you're Apple, what you'll be doing, and you're doing an industry listening, the keywords that you're kind of looking for would be, smartphones, tablets, laptops, just general products that you can associate with the industry that you're in. And I also briefly touched on what social customer service is. I'm bringing this up now because we're talking about a major component of social customer service, which is Social Studio Automate. So basically, what social customer service is, and this is actually a product that AFDigital also offers to you guys, is something that you might want to be interested in. Basically, what social customer service is that you harness the powers of 3 different Salesforce platforms. First, Social Studio. Social Studio is responsible for getting all that posts from your social accounts. It can even be from topic profiles, just key some posts that you might be interested in. It might either be a case or lead. And what happens is that you also utilize or leverage Service Cloud, the CRM platforms, 360 customer view, and the different efficiency tools or productivity tools designed to provide your customer a richer service experience. So the general architecture, the overview of the architecture of social customer service, this is how it looks. Basically, you're utilizing social as another channel in which you can use for Service Cloud. With Service Cloud, you can use email, live chat, as well as web, in order to essentially function as another channel that your customer can interact with you. So with Social Studio is responsible for getting all dimensions from your social accounts or the topic profiles. It pulls that in, and then Social Studio Automate, the star of today's show, what it does is that it's composed of essentially different rules. And with that rules, if a criteria is met, they do a certain set of actions, such as applying post labels, identifying if a person is a celebrity or not, setting if a person's post is just spam or if it's just another duplicate post. And essentially, it does all those different things in order for you to categorize and classify your posts before you push them to Service Cloud. It's also was actually responsible for automatically pushing posts into Service Cloud. So once in Service Cloud, since you've already done the taggings and the classifications with Social Studio Automate, the customer service agent in Service Cloud has already saved out an enormous amount of time instead of having to identify if what this post is classified, what this post's priority is, or is it what's this post talking about. You eliminate all the spam posts before they come into Service Cloud. So that's generally the idea. And from there, the customer service agent can then respond and push the responses from your brand to the customer back to social. So that's essentially what social customer service is all about. Now, so our topic for today is Social Studio Automate. And before we get into the topic of what what it is all about and what it can do, it's first better to remove the doubts when it comes to automation. See, the common fear that comes with automation is that automation is just cutting corners. You're replacing something that a human can do with something a machine might might do as well. You're not 100% sure that whatever machine does is 100% better than the human does. And with that, I bring you a quote coming from Harsh Sippy. He's the founder of Tema India, a technological company based in India. What he said about automation is that automation is correct. It's cost cutting by tightening the corners and not cutting them. See, automation is not cutting corners. It's just about integrating your automations seamlessly to your workflow in order to improve efficiency. So you're not removing certain steps to increase risk, but you're actually just tightening the corners around them in order to become more efficient and in order to become more productive. So that's automation. And it's the same thing that applies with Social Studio. You have various manual tasks that can be done by users in Social Studio, but of course you're going to utilize Social Studio automates as a way to help out that user to increase its productivity, to maximize efficiency for your business and how it handles Social Studio. So before we move on to what Social Studio Automate is all about, I wanted to reintroduce a concept that I brought up earlier in the earlier sessions of this webinar. I want to bring up the concept of tagging posts engaged. See, what tagging posts is actually, it's involved with applying different labels, settings, and in order to classify and categorize a post. So if I go back for a quick time here, let's say in Social Studio, this is the engaged, and I look at some of the comments about certain, let's say, this is actually a topic profile about Qantas and its different competitors, British Airways, Jetstar. And let's say I'm an analyst for one of those airlines. And what I can do is actually, if I'm implementing what I call, tagging or practicing tagging, let's say this post is all about Qantas. What I can do is I can do certain posts. Looking at this is in fact appears to be highly independent. This might be something positive or this might be something negative, but this is essentially, I can tag this as, can be a brand mention or it can just be a feedback regarding the brand Qantas. If it's something crisis worthy, if it's something that needs immediate attention, I can set the priority high. And different things as well as attaching post labels. If this person has a high influencer score, let's say right now it's 51, but let's say it's around 90 or 98, what I can do is attach a celebrity post label. So I can identify this person. The next time he posts, I know that this person is a celebrity. And what essentially you're doing in tagging is that you're creating this different sets of categories. And with that, there's several benefits that come with tagging. First is that on why you should tag posts is first that it enriches your data. Actively tagging posts will allow you to create a standard set of categories that your business organization might have. These categories can be something that your business in particular wants to listen to. And from my experience for different clients, they do have specific tags in mind because these are commonly recurring topics that their business encounters when it comes to social media. Or let's say, for example, if you're working for a pizza brand, what you can commonly use is a way to tag or classification if it's a complaint about your pizzas or a complaint about your products or your delivery time. And it's also different when it comes to, let's say you're working for a hospital brand and people are talking about the different services with your hospital. So you can have classifications, let's say, pardon me, you can have classifications such as, the different services, general, physicians, dentistry and different products such as that. So it allows you to enrich your data by allowing you to, classify the different posts. And it kind of works in tandem with the second benefit with tagging posts, that it allows you to segment your reports. Because you tag your data and because you categorize your data, you can use the different post settings that you have. when and you can include it when you export that data set or when you do reports. So let's say and analyze, I go to analyze, and I have a dashboard for all the Qantas competitors. And let's say I have a business that actively does tagging of posts. If I do that, what I can do is I can filter the posts now based on the different classifications that I had. So let's go back to this Qantas competitors. Let's say I want to do an export of all the data of all my data, all about celebrity. So what I can do is now filter this dashboard or filter this data set, just the posts that are coming from celebrities. Maybe it's something that you want to put in your reports, your internal reports when you're presenting it to stakeholders. How many people, how many celebrities, or how many influencers were talking about your brand? So you can now, since you did this active categorization classification, you can now pull these reports, all the posts from celebrities. See, I just tagged one post from that particular person. I'm beginning to pull all the posts that it's come in. And that's not all. Let's say you want to actually pull an expert of all the potential crisis posts that you have. And if you practice, active tagging or active, engagement with the different classifications, you might have probably changed the priority to high. And if that's what you did, all you need to do in order to get that data set of how much potential crisis posts you have is to actually just select this as set the priority as high, and then look at all the posts that were tagged as high. And now you have that particular data set in your hands. And the reason I'm bringing up the concept of tagging again, because it's one of the major things that social automate can actually simplify. So imagine if tagging is it's a wonderful practice, but if about 50,000 volume of posts come in every day, for one user to do all of that active tagging, it's kind of reaching impossible heights. If it's either you're really, really productive in doing that, or you're most likely going to miss out, or it's not going to be as accurate as you. And if you want to, simplify that task, or at the very least ease some of the burden off that particular analyst from doing that job, what you can utilize is Social Studio Automate. So that process of tagging or doing anything related to that post that came in, you can utilize Social Studio Automate's various rules and conditions in order to perform different actions. So basically what Social Studio Automates is it's a rule-based and web-based software engine designed to process and sort social media content. And in order to understand how it runs is that we need to understand some basic things that make up Social Studio Automate. So the very first thing that we need to understand is that, yes, it's made up of rules, and yes, it does certain actions, but each rule also contains what we call data sources. The data sources, if there are no data sources in Social Studio Automate, a rule will not run. Basically, because it's a data source is what represent the targeted posts, or for instance of applying automation. What that means is that the data source that you have is where posts from topic profiles or managed accounts will come in, and essentially these are what your rules will apply their different actions to. So let's say, so the data source can actually contain either topic profiles or social accounts, and automatically any topic profile or social account that you have created in your Social Studio tenant, they will be automatically be obtained in Social Studio Automate, so it's available for selection. So in a single data source, you can actually have up to 5 topic profiles and up to 50 social accounts. And you also have different uses for data sources. Essentially, these are the main types of data sources. So first we have real time, and a real time data source is used to gather posts as they come into the system. So when let's say you're making a post that as soon as it comes in, you want to identify if this person is, let's say, a retweet, if this post is a retweet or it's not, you're going to be using a real-time data source for that rule, because you want, as soon as it comes in, you want to apply that rule. This is a retweet, so let's set the status to comment resolve or whatever. And then we also have what works in conjunction with real-time data sources, what we call recent. It's used to set how often this Automate will check for new posts that recently came in the system.
So the difference with real-time and recent is that with recent, it doesn't check as soon as it comes in. It checks after a certain period of time. It could be in the last 12 hours of data. And the common use case for rules that use the recent data source is that with you use this in conjunction with real-time rules that, let's say, applies different rules, applies different labels. Let's say applies this person is a celebrity, this post is high priority, and then based on those sets of rules, you can use a rule that uses a recent data source to say, okay, we've done the initial tagging a post using real-time rules. Okay, let's check now for what we can do else, or what we can apply else based on the initial rules that was applied. So that's how you use recent data source rules that use recent data sources in conjunction with real-time rules. And then we have two more time-specific rules, what we call scheduled. So scheduled is more of a niche type of data sources. Basically, if you just want this a data source or set of rules to run for a specific time period. And then for historical, it's used to search for posts that are already in the system. So this historical data sources can be used, let's say, if you want to apply rules retroactively. So let's say you just recently, used Social Studio Automate, and you also want to tag all the specific posts that were, in the backlogs, maybe 6 months from 6 months ago. You want to do that. What you can use is a historical data source to reapply the current rules that you have for those particular backlog posts that you missed. So let's look at let's try making up a new data source. So when you create the data source, this is what you can see. First, you identify what the data source type is. Again, real time. You're able to, as soon as the posts come in, you'll be able to apply those rules that use this data source. So the frequency can be set as to 1 minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes. What this means actually is that within 1 minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, it's going to apply the different sets of rules that you have using this data source. Keywords and keyword topics, manage profile, manage accounts. You can select again up to 5 topic profiles and up to 50 for managed accounts. And you can actually define just what specific media type do you want this particular data source to have its rules applied to. So let's say you only want this specific rule to run on direct messages. You can do that as well. So going back to the data sources types, as I mentioned, the purpose of recent is to use it in conjunction with real time. So the post with status, post with updated workflow, these are the things that might have already been updated based on the real time rules. So let's say if you have post with a sentiment negative, which what it does is that it just looks at the last 12 hours of data up to 72 hours of data that has the sentiment positive. Then you have scheduled data sources. You just want a specific rules to run on a specific day. This is what you do in a specific time. Also identify what time zone you want that to be using. Then we also have the historical. So basically you're looking for either all posts between a specific start date that you will set, or only post from a specific time of each day with another start date and end date, and can identify what to. So that's basically it. So I've already actually created several data sources. So later on, you'll be seeing some of the rules that I made and what type of data sources does it actually use. Another thing that help out, identify or make your rules more accurate is what we call the Social Studio Automate tools. So tools in Social Studio Automate are helpful resources that complements your rule automations. So the different tools are as follows. With classifiers, it helps classify incoming posts using defined custom parameters. What this is normally used for is that, let's say, a specific word, such as, let's say, the word social, can mean different things in various contexts. A social can mean, let's say, a church social is a group of people who goes to church. He's not very social means that person is either shy or is not very, it's a very awkward person. Or let's say, my mother is not on social. That means my mother is either not on any social media platforms. So the word social can actually mean 3 things. And the way you can actually train Social Studio to identify what the context of that particular word is through the words, through the tool classifier. So classifier it actually takes a bit of time setting up because you have to train the tool itself to identify, let's say, for example, social, how these three particular meanings of that word can be used. So if you want to, train, or you want to social studio automatically identify what that person is, say you have different intentions, you just want to, identify people who are using social as social media, not the two other things. What you're going to be needing is to use classifiers and to, train classifiers to identify, to only, use the social in the context of social media. So that's classifiers. And the other thing is the email notifications. So email notifications are actually when you want a rule to send an email about when an incoming post actually triggers an automated rule. And in email notifications, what you can actually do is you can actually set what the email template is, composed of, the subject of that email, the recipients of that email. You actually set that based on you just compose it in the email notification. So the recipients, you actually put them here, and the sender name, subject, as well as the message of your email. And what you can do is that if you have an email notification, you can attach that to a rule. So when the rule meets, when a post meets the rules conditions, you can send that as an action. Threshold alerts was previously actually introduced in the previous sessions. What it does is that it provides an automated email notification as well as a notification within Social Studio. If you have the Social Studio mobile app, it will also send you an alert there. Basically, what this does, if a certain topic profile or a certain column within Engage reaches a set number of, let's say, volume of posts, say you normally get around 100 posts a day, and then for some reason 1,000 posts suddenly come in, that's a spike in the mentions. That's something that you want to pay attention to. What happens is if the threshold alert is set to, let's say, 1,000, suddenly 1,000 posts come in, it will identify that as a spike, and it's going to send you an email notification or notification Social Studio. So it's useful for using it in potential crisis posts. So normally when your post volume suddenly spikes, it's either something really good or something really bad happened that gets people talking about your brand. And either way, you want to listen to that. And if you want to do so, you do threshold alerts. Content libraries, actually, content libraries, on the other hand, think of this as a compilation of different words, keywords, and phrases that you can associate with that specific library. So let's say I can create, in this example, I'll be showing you social customer service mention, a content library I use for the social customer service, which is all about home loans. So if we take a look at the different keywords pertaining to home loans, you'll be seeing, words just house loan or home loan or interest rate or house and lot or home. This is all about the different home loan keywords that are associated with, the word home loan. You actually use this in your rules. So later on, you can see a rule that, let's say, if what you can do is have a series of content libraries of the different most commonly used topic regarding your brand. So going back to, let's say, the pizza brand, you're in the industry of pizza, what you can have is a topic, let's say for an airline, let's say, baggage complaints, you can have a content library that contains baggage complaints. It's all about baggage, where's my baggage, luggage, and different keywords. So what you can do then is have a set of rules that identify what that post is talking all about. So if it spots the word, baggage in that post, okay, we know that this post said baggage, and I checked in the content library for the baggage topics, and it contains the word baggage. Okay, so I'm going to apply the post label for this particular post as the topic for baggage. So that's how you use content libraries. Analyzers, on the other hand, this is more for if you have your Service Cloud integrated with Social Studio as in social customer service. So don't mind the wrong description there. Basically, analyzers is having a series of conditions and applying different scoring based on those conditions. So once you push them into Service Cloud, you can see there's a field there called the analyzer score. And you can use the analyzer score for different things in Service Cloud. Maybe if the analyzer score reaches about 95 to 100, what you want to do is send them to the, your second tier agents in Service Cloud so they have better service. Or if it's a very low analyzer score, what you can do is actually just put that into the regular queue. So analyzer, you just add a series of conditions, and if it meets, let's say the auth, it contains a match in the content library. Again, about the home loan, what I can do is, maybe if it's true, add a score of 20, and you can have up to 10 conditions that adds different numbers of scores. So you can come up with an analyzer scoring system before you push it to Service Cloud. So these are the different tools that you use with when you're making rules with Social Studio Automate. So the basic composition of a rule is obviously it needs to have a data source or a set of a post that it can apply its rules and actions to. It's composed of a rule or rather a condition. This should be a condition. Let's change that now. And also an action. And also an action. So let's try actually creating a rule, just so that you can see some of the major conditions that you can have, some of the actions. There's quite a lot, so we might not be able to go through all of them, but just some of the major things that you could probably use as a condition or as an action within Social Studio Automate. So right now, this is actually the different sets of rules that I use for social customer service. You'll be seeing that later on as I expound on it. So let's start creating a rule actually here. So first, as I mentioned, you select what data source. It determines when your rules will apply to that particular data source. So I have, for example, for this webinar, a demo business real-time data source. So as soon as the posts come in, these sets of conditions, and the post will immediately be evaluated based on the conditions in this rule, and it will automatically or immediately apply the actions if they meet the conditions here. So let's take a look at some of the conditions that we can do with inside a rule. So author, if author is just one, if the name of that particular person or the Twitter handle of that particular person either contains a term in one of your content libraries. So what you can do is actually, if you have a group of stakeholders or a series of Twitter handles that you want to be actually pay attention to, or you want to what I can suggest is a content library composed of, let's say, celebrities. And inside that content library, you have the different names or the Twitter handles of all the celebrities that your brand is regularly interacts with. So let's say an author contains a match in the celebrity content library. If that means it, if there's a word that matches that equates true. Some of the conditions as well as the say case activity. What this is used actually in Service Cloud for social customer service. Basically, if there has been an interaction with an active case in Service Cloud, or if there's any active activity or any active case that has happened within Service Cloud, basically if the customer service agent responds to that person or the customer responds back to the person in Service Cloud, you can use case activity as a condition. You can identify if per post is a duplicate post. Let's say if the post that comes in is a duplicate post already exists, you can do the certain set of action, or if it's just a unique post, you want to identify it as well. You can actually determine if that particular language that that post is, let's say, the different languages we have. There's an action later on that you can translate a post to another language. If that's what, let's say, if that person, if the language detects it, let's say Spanish, what you can have for your action is that you can translate that post into English. And then some of the more used as well is let's say the quote tweet status. This is, or the retweet status. This is from Twitter. If that post is simply just a retweet or quote tweet, and you want to use that as a condition, you can use that as well. So it must not be a retweet, or another different things here, such as, let's say, the sentiment. So must not be a retweet, and the sentiment is, let's say, equal to negative. Let's say we're creating a rule for a post that identifies, crisis posts. And then let's say that checks something that checks if that author is also, is celebrity. So we want to pay attention to that. So you can apply a number of conditions to your rule, and you can actually edit the logic of your rule as well. So it must not be for this example, to identify that a rule that applies to all crisis posts that come in. I want to make sure that it's not a retweet, but and it's also negative. But I want it to also be an optional. Let's say it can either be a celebrity, or I don't know, or something else. Let's say a stakeholder. So it has to be it has to be not a retweet. It has to be negative, but it can either be, I can say that as either that person is a celebrity, or flagged as celebrity, or stakeholder. And with that, you can actually set the logic of your particular post. And you can do this. There's a number of criteria that you can have this as well. Media type, what type of, is it comment? If it's a private message, you can apply that specifically. The spam rating of a post, the spam rating is if a post is identified by Social Studio as a spam, or if it's not spam. You can actually also use a recent data or real-time data source to determine if a post is also, manually say that this post is spam. You can do that as well. And the different actions are what we can see here at the back, here at the bottom. So you have to perform a number of actions as well, not just one. So as I mentioned, this is for crisis post. So first, what I want to do, if that post, reaches all of these criteria, what I need to do is actually, attach different post labels. So I identify this as a crisis post. The first thing that I want to do is attach a crisis post label. And the next thing I need to do is I want to set this post's priority as a very high priority post. And then what I can do is also want to inform, since this is a crisis post, the different number of people that might be able to resolve this case, or wants to pay attention to this case. So I can use an email notification that I've used. Let's say for this one, it's a sample email notification that sends out to different parties that might be of interest to this. And another thing that I can do, if it's on Facebook, and I don't want a lot of people to see it, I just want to interact with that, I can automatically hide that post on Facebook. And then different number of things as well. I can apply this to a different specific user within Social Studio to pay attention to this particular post. Set the sentiment as well. Classification. This is a crisis post. This might obviously be a complaint. Just the different actions that your rule can do. So this is how you actually build a rule in Social Studio Automate. So let's take a look at some of the rules that I have already built for a sample of social customer service. So this is actually a very, very simple version of social customer service. It's only for demo purposes, but obviously if you want to have a more complicated level of tagging and classifying before you push that to Service Cloud, we can do that as well. So right now you're seeing, actually this is a private post. So this is actually a sample of a post that came into one of our demo business social account pages. And what it did is that my series of rules automatically applied the different settings based on the rules that you can see here. So the first thing that it does is that it identifies what type of post label will attach to that particular rule. So I first identify if that post is either inquiry or complaint. So, and the way I do that is that I use a real-time data source for that demo business, and that
if let's say that keyword contains a match in the content library demo inquiry, so all the things that I put in that content library is the word ask or how or what. So those are the keywords pertaining to inquiries. So if that word, if any of that words match or help, then I also have it will be matched as inquiry. But if any of the keyword matches the content library about complaint, this is words such as emergencies or help, that can be something that can be found in the demo complaint content library, and I can use that in a rule. So if we go back to this example right here, when this post came in, as you can see, there's a word ask here, and it immediately got identified by Social Studio Automate, and it applied the post label inquiry, as you can see here. And then the next thing that on the list of things that it does is that it identifies the different classifications of that particular post. It's once again all about content libraries. If it's all about housing loan inquiries, if it has words about housing loan inquiries, it gets classified as a housing loan inquiry. As you can see, it got tagged as a housing loan inquiry, so it met some of the keywords in that content library. And the last thing I do is that I push these posts to Service Cloud. So this is an example that you can have with social customer service. You can have different levels of this as well. Maybe you have another level that identifies what the priority of the post is. Speaking of, it's something that I might have missed out, discussing. It's all about actually, it's all about what we call the hierarchy priority groups. As you can see here, there are about 3 priority groups. And what priority groups is that it contains the different prioritized rules and unprioritized rules. So basically, prioritized rules are rules that in a group run together before running other groups. And unprioritized rules runs independently regardless of prioritized rules. So what that means is that every rule that is in this priority group will run first before any of the other groups, as well as before any of the unprioritized rules that I may have. So first, as I've mentioned, I need to identify if the post label is inquiry or complaint. What happens is that in hierarchy, what it does is that if the first rule in this priority group is already met, it will no longer be evaluated if it's a complaint or not. That is because you already identified that post as an inquiry. So let's say if that post is true, then you skip to the next one, which is the classification. And then you do the same thing. You identify if the first criteria is met. If it's not, you move to the second criteria. If it's not or no criteria has been met at all, you move to the next priority group. And then unprioritized rules. Man, I have a hard time saying that. Unprioritized rules, on the other hand, after every prioritized rule has already run, what would happen is that each of these unprioritized rules will run independently. So if I have 5 unprioritized rules, each of them will run even if the first one in this set of rules, unprioritized rules, is already set to true. So you can have all 5 set to true, and all of them can run all at the same time. All of them can run independently, regardless of if the rule that came before them was true or not. So some of the common use cases for Social Automate, obviously to categorize posts, to set post labels, the classification status. So that's, as you can see, that's how it was used with social customer service. One particular use again is to reduce noise or flag spammers or hide Facebook posts that can be considered as spam. So one particular rule that you may be doing to identify if a post is considered as noise, that you can contain a topic profile. Let's say that the content within that topic profile contains a match in a different spam keywords that you might have. So let's say the spam keywords are, the usual stuff that offers, once in a lifetime promo that just spams the different posts in your brand. It's not even related to your brand. So what you can do is create this, spam rule,
And you can have the condition, if it matches that keyword, or let's say that post is a duplicate post. What spammers usually do is that they do the post several times, maybe 10 times, comments 10 times in a particular post. So if that particular duplicate post already exists, and let's say, or if that person, you already identified this person in the past as a spammer, so you can have that as well. And just edit, the advanced logic, so it has to be contains the word in spam, and either a duplicate post exists or that post is flagged as spammer. And what you can do is, set the spam status. Okay, this particular post is spam. Or if you don't have, this criteria that identifies that person as spammer, what you can then do is that if that person is actually being, spamming your post, what you can do is actually add then that post label as spammer, and it automatically does that for any spam mentions that may come up. So that's another particular use for social automate rules. Other one is for setting alerts for prices, as you've seen a while ago. So this one is for prices posts. If a post comes in that has any of the topics that you might have for, let's say you have content library that has negative sentiments. So these are, the most negative keywords that can be associated to your brands. Maybe it's a keyword reporting you to a government, organization, malpractices or business malpractices, or I'm reporting you to the officials or police. So that's one particular condition that you can have. And what you can do is that, let's say, crisis post can also be, let's say, if you have, identified that a government official is talking about your brand. So maybe you have an author label that, you identified government officials already. So what you can do is, if it's either contains match in any of your negative sentiments or crisis sentiments, or if that person is a government official, what you can do is you can have, send that post to send an email notification to your stakeholders or people that will address this issue. Set that identifies negative, and you can obviously set the priority to high, and then you can push that as well to Service Cloud, for better management when it comes to customer service. So that's another use case. And lastly, obviously send posts to Service Cloud or to Salesforce. There's actually two ways you can do this. You can actually connect several Salesforce CRM platforms. It can be in the sandbox if you want to, test your rules first, or if it's production, you can have a number of social Salesforce organizations connected. It can also be used not only for cases, but it can also create for leads as well. So with leads, is that you're something. On the other hand, this is actually lead identification. And you're running this on topic profiles. Let's say on a content, you're looking for posts that have the content. Let's say I want to buy an auto loan, or I want to apply for an auto loan, or let's say an airline. Is there any flight, or is there a travel to? I'm looking to buy tickets from Australia to, let's say, Hawaii or something like that. So you can have that in a content library. Let's say travel lead inquiries. So you put in the different keywords for anything travel related, for tickets related, and what you want to do. If you let's say this can be a potential lead, what you can do is send this to Salesforce, but instead of having it as a case, you can instead create a lead, and from there you can do it as a campaign. You can enrich that lead, nurture that lead with Salesforce CRM. So that's just some of the common use cases for Social Studio Automate. Again, the number of rules that you can have in data source that you can have is basically up to how much rules first is actually provisioned to you by Salesforce, and other than that, it's just up to your creativity and up to your business workflow and how you specifically tag these posts, or how you specifically want to automate the categorization of these posts. So that's all about Social Studio Automate. The next thing what we have is what we call social customer service, rather Social Studio Command Center. So Social Studio Command Center is all about having a real-time view of your data. So if you've ever been or ever watched any of those data, any movie that has, a bunch of high-level officials that are looking at different information at a bunch of TV screens, imagine it as the same way as Social Studio Command Center. Basically, Command Center gives you live details about what is happening on social media on a screen. So you can put this on television. You can put this on an iPad that you have, let's say, on your reception desk. You can put this on a big screen in your lobby if you want to see, if you want the people coming in your building to see that this is how we perform on social media. Give them an impression of how well known your brand is. You can have this as you can see here in AFDigital, we use this for in our social media command center. We have the different topic profiles related to Salesforce, and we display them on screens so we can better see just how data comes in and from where it comes in. From here, there's actually several types of screens that you can do. It's not just for Social Studio, actually. You can actually have a number of screens that are for that enables you to actually, if you connected it with Marketing Cloud, if you want to see how your how your journey is performing, or how the email that you sent out for your campaign is performing, you can do that as well. If you have this connected to Service Cloud, you can have a display. What you can do is in your call center platform, the room where all customer service agents are. If you want to see track their information in real time, you can put this command center on a screen and put that for everyone to see there, to see how they're performing, how's everyone's productivity. And there's different here. So I'll be showing you some examples of command center screens. So this one is, I've made a topic profile about the streaming platforms, Netflix, HBO Go, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, and these are some of the things that you can display on really big televisions or in your iPads. So what you should usually do is that this automatically runs, manages itself. All you need to do is set up the screen, and then you can begin displaying it. It updates everything. It moves on its own. As you can see right now, it's moving on its own, showing different things. So this is actually an example of a screen which is called Key Social Indicators. It shows you an overview of the share of sentiments in the last hour. I have just set this to the last hour, but you can have this up to 48 hours or 24 hours of data. You can see a quick share of voice here on the side, and as well as the trend of volume of trend for how much posts are coming in. So you can display this on the screen. What this is good for is that you can have this, on the screen in your, let's say, social media headquarters, and so you can have a real-time view of those posts coming in without having actually going to Social Studio and accessing analyze dashboards. So this is just one quick glance at that screen, and you already see all these data. Another example is a feed wall. So instead of having to sift through automatically in natively in social media, you can display this on a screen so you can see what people are talking about. If you want a quick example what people are talking about, your particular topic profile. So you can see here different people are talking about Netflix, different shows that has Netflix and talk about them. So another thing is this one is good for identifying how much of your topic profile is being mentioned all around the world. So one use case for this, let's say you're a government organization that you recently acquired Social Studio. What you can do is actually set up a Social Studio command center, make up a topic profile all about COVID-19, and you can see how much people are talking about all over the world are talking about the coronavirus. And it's going to show you just some quick pins of different posts coming in from different locations all around the world. Gives you a preview of what people are saying about that in that specific area. Yeah, so this is just a general geographical view of where posts are coming in. The next one, I think this didn't have the time to properly load. Social universe, identify, again, this is just another way to look at, the different keywords that came up and the share of sentiment, share of voice and the different sentiment over time. As you can see, share voice is mostly Netflix dominated. So you can have this on the screen as well. What people are saying, these are different, these are from different sources. As you can see, these are from blogs, from Twitter accounts, from YouTube comments. And if you want to actually, pardon me, I'm having hiccups. So you can have this displayed if you want, get quick insights or testimonials from what people are saying about your brand. You can display this on a giant screen. If you're confident with what people are saying about your brand, it's mostly positive. You can display this in the lobby of your building. Here's what people are, so that when people come into your building, they can see, oh, so this is what people are talking about my brand or this brand, and essentially, this is just a few samples of the different screens that you can have with Social Studio Command Center. So you have all these different screens. You can have, set them up in different number of locations, such as I mentioned, command centers, customer service platforms or areas, or even, lobbies or reception areas for your customers to see. And Social Studio Command Center is basically allowing you to get those quick insight or quick hand glance of your data without having to go to Social Studio, without having to access Social Studio or social media natively. And that's basically it with Social Studio Command Center. There's not a lot of it that you need to overthink. It's just that it's a great way, to showcase your social data, as well as a great way to help you out gain quick insights. So I think that's all we have for today. So are there any questions that you guys may have for Social Studio Automate or Social Studio Command Center, or just in general about Social Studio? Are there any questions? Let me see. I don't think there are. But if you do have any questions that you might have, maybe after this session, you can always reach me at this email. I'll be gladly to answer any questions about social media or Social Studio, or if you're interested actually in utilizing Social Studio, publish, engage, analyze, and its different capabilities, and utilizing maybe Social Studio Automate, or if you want to do Social Studio or social customer service, we do that as well. AFDigital has implemented a number of actual projects with social customer service. And if you're interested, we can help you out with that. Just reach out to me and I'll gladly help you out, and reach out to our team here in AFDigital. So if there aren't any more questions, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending the series AFDigital Masterclass webinar series for Social Studio. And I hope you have a great day, and I hope you learned a lot from these series of webinars. Again, do check out other webinars that we have as well for AFDigital Masterclass series. We have for Marketing Cloud, for Service Cloud, and all the different clouds. Just go to our website, afdigital.com, and check out the Masterclass webinar series there. Sign up, and I promise you won't regret it. So thank you, everyone, for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful day.